Today I'll be installing some shelves with the help of my Dovoh H3 360G laser level. Recently Dovoh sent this out for me to do a review on it. I did that a few weeks ago. I really like this laser, and I will put a link down in the description if you would like to check out a couple of these Dovoh lasers for your projects. But for now we're going to use it to get a nice level line on the wall. What I want to do is put a shelf about right here. My miter saw is stored right here, and it doesn't take up all of this space, so I can get a shelf in here just a little bit lower, and I want to put my vacuum on that. I've just got too much stuff in here on the floor and I need to figure out what to do with it. And then I would like to put a second shelf above that to maybe put my vacuum containment, my dust collection, all that good stuff up there just to store it. I would also like to put a shelf up above my toolbox right here. And I will need to keep in mind, of course, the lid opens on the top of this, so there won't be a ton of room up there, but there will be some room to be able to get some other things up there and get them out of my way. Hi everybody, I'm Jim Dierdorf and this is Detroit DIY. Let's get some shelves up. I have my laser level turned on and I've got it set to this height right here. I know you can see the line in the camera. I could see it through the lens a little bit, and that is exactly where I want this shelf to be. Now the plywood's going to be 1/2 inch higher. It's going to clear my miter saw just fine. The lines are right here on the saw, so we'll be good to go there. I'm going to get my saw out of the way, and then we'll start getting this framework laid out and built. For the frame under the shelf, I'm just going to be using some rip downs from some scrap material that I had. These are about 2.5 inches, and by the time I build the entire framework and put it on the wall, I'll be able to mount it to the wall and to the side of my cabinet. We will be in good shape. This will support it just fine. I also want to keep in mind that when I put this right here, I am going to be putting cabinet doors on here and getting all that finished up. So this is going to need to come over at an angle to come out to its full depth. The top shelf will be the same thing. These two will be identical to each other as far as shape and size are concerned. So I'm going to get some measurements, get some material cut. We'll go over a little bit how I'm putting it together and get this first one up. Before we go any further, I just want to show you how I have the laser level set up. It's clamped onto my step ladder using a bar clamp and the bracket that Dovoh provides you with the laser level. It is in self-leveling mode, so everything I know, my lines are spot on, and it's sitting here just as nice as can be. I have the 4 sides of my framework cut out, and I've got it all held together with clamping squares. Now I need to determine the angle so that I can get these cut and get this piece in right here. With the T-Bevel, I'm going to set it up so that it sits flat against the face of this, and then it gets set to the angle of this board sitting up against. Once I get this set, I'm going to come over to my SawSet Pro. It's a miter protractor. I'm on the double miter side, and it's going to tell me exactly how to set up my saw. And we are at 26.5. So that's going to work out for my double miter on this side. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing on this side because these angles are going to be different because of the different lengths here. And then the same thing, come over, get our double miter, and we're going to be at 18.5. So I'm going to get these cut out on the miter saw and get everything fit in here where we need it. I've got my angled piece cut, and I also went ahead and cut this piece using the single miter side of my SawSet Pro miter protractor to get these angles. And I'm going to attach these two together, and then I will secure them through here, mostly into this one. So I am going to cut the exact same pieces one more time because I want 2 of these shelves, and then we will start getting this put together. The first thing I want to do is glue and screw my two pieces together here. I'm not going to use a ton of glue, just a little bit here to help hold it together. And I'm going to be using some 1 1/4 inch screws. I've marked my sides for alignment. Right here, as you can see. I'm not going to countersink these, I'm just going to run them in and let them do their own thing. Get one started here. We'll make sure we're aligned right. Looks good. Happy with that. 3 screws is plenty. The glue will hold it just nice. Alright, we're ready to get some pocket holes in these. So I want to get 2 pocket screws in each one of these, and I'm not worried about getting them perfectly centered or aligned. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these drilled in, and then we'll be ready to get this put together. I've already put 2 pocket screws here. Now I need to screw this one, and I've got me a clamp on here, a bar clamp, just holding everything nice and tight. We're good. I'm going to go ahead and stand it up here. Oops. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get that last piece on, and then we will come back to put the corner piece in. I've got the framework all put together. As you can see, it's a little teetery, and because of cupping in the boards, this is now a little loose, but it pulls together very nicely. So I'm going to focus on this side first and get some screws in here. And what I want to do is I'm going to drill some pilot holes through the end and run in some 2-inch screws. And I just want to get a reference line across here near the center, just to help me run my drill bit through on the right direction. Holding that in there nice and snug. I'm going to start my drill bit somewhat straight and then angle it. With that one drilled, I'm going to go ahead and get one screw in here. Very nice. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing down low. Alright, this framework is complete. I am going to go ahead and build another one exactly the same way. I do want to put one center brace in here somewhere, or support, but I'm not sure where yet because I don't know where the studs are just yet in the wall, and I certainly won't want to put one in and then have it wind up being right over the stud. So we will do that after we locate the studs. And we'll get the next one put together and we'll get these things put up. I've got my shelving framework complete, and now I just need to get my layout on here. So I've got my laser level on, and I just want to come through and pencil mark this line so that I can use these as a reference. The shelf is 27 inches, so I want to go ahead and get that marked out along here, and then I will look for the stud so I can get my center brace. My tape measure is not cooperating, so I can get my center brace in place in my shelving unit. Once I get that in place, then I can go ahead and start installing them after I locate my studs. So I just want to get a few lines on here, and then we'll find the studs right here in a second. With my Wallabout DIY, I'm going to locate these studs. We have to calibrate it first. I really like this stud finder. I've got a video on it. I'll put a link up above. This thing is pretty nice. So basically, once we find a 2x4, it's going to show it to us right on the screen. And of course, there's one way over here. I was hoping for one near the edge, but we're going to be about 16 inches back. And there it is right there. And this would be the center of it. Let's go down here. I highly doubt I'm going to find another one over here. And I'm not. So I'll be putting in a couple of anchors. This will be my only stud right here. So knowing that, I can get my center brace in. I can probably center it. And then I can get me a couple of anchors in to help hold this to the wall. I've got my center brace in my shelf, and I've got some pilot holes in here. I've drilled a pilot hole where the stud is, and I've also drilled some pilot holes where I want to put some anchors in the wall. So I'm just going to get it set up here on the lines. With it on the lines, I just want to put a small hole in the wall where I'll be putting those anchors in. Alright, I'm going to be using strap toggles as my anchors. I've done a video on these and I'll put a link to it up above. What I want to do now is drill a 1/2 inch hole in the wall where my little pilot hole is. And that's all I need. Now I'm going to slide the pointy end of this through, and there's insulation in this wall, so it's going to be a little tough to get this to turn and rock back up the way I want it to, but you can kind of tell when they do because the toggles go straight. Now you just take this and pull it tight. Push it in there real nice and then break these off. Now my 1/4 inch screw will go right in there and hold my shelf. I'm going to do the same thing over here, and then we'll be ready to get this thing up. I've got the lights off just to help you see this line better. I'm not sure how well it's showing up on the camera. Now that I've got this one all laid out, I've got them all made, painted, I've made some measurements and I know exactly where I want my second shelf to be. And this will roughly be the top of it. It'll be a ½ inch higher once the plywood goes on. But I want to go ahead and get this one marked out as well. So just using my pencil, I'm going to draw me some reference lines on here. And believe it or not, you can't really see the pencil where the laser is. And I want to get a couple over here. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get these marked out. I'm going to get my anchors in the drywall and get this all ready to go just like I did this one. I now have both of these frames ready to install. I've painted them. I've painted the shelves. Everything's painted up. I'm using the screws that are supplied with the anchors. Well, it's a little hard to get a good camera angle here. I'll show you what we got in a minute here. I got some more screws to put in other than these, but these will hold it. Sitting there nice and level. I'm going to be using a cabinet screw through the stud. These screws are extremely strong. There we go. That thing is solid now. Now I'm going to get 2 more screws in the side right here. I'm just going to be using some 1¼ wood screws for this, and we'll take a look. So I have all 5 of my screws in. My anchor screw here, my cabinet screw through the stud, anchor screw, and then I've got 2 wood screws here. And we have a very stable platform. I think for what I'm doing, it's going to be no problem because my vacuum's going to sit up here and that's it. So I am ready to get my plywood up. I'm going to go ahead and get that second frame up there, and then it'll basically be the same thing. I'm going to put another shelf across the top up here, but I'm going to use my Dovoh laser level to get that one put up, and then we'll take a look when it's all done. I have the shelves all finished up. I got my vacuum on here. I've got my dust collection up above. I wanted to put buckets up there, but the engineer failed to realize that the garage door rail was going to prevent that from happening. So that's okay. I will shift some stuff around and I'll find another spot for the empty buckets. Toolbox lid opens just fine, so I'm real happy with that. I did wind up putting some braces in, mostly because this shelf right here was just too flimsy on this end. So I put a little support right here, and then I had to go ahead and support these. I put an angled piece in from the back of the top shelf down to the front of this shelf, and then just one straight piece in here, which has sturdied everything up very nice. I've put some links down in the description for the tools that we've used in this video. If you use those links, it will not cost you any extra. However, I do receive a small percentage. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider doing so. That's all we got for this time, and remember to always respect the power of your power tools. And we'll see you soon.